After recovering the Golden Fleece, the Argonauts returned to the city of Iolcos in Thessaly, where Jason would attempt to reclaim the throne usurped by his uncle, King Peleus. They reached the shores of Crete. They tried to land to stock up on food and water, but the fearsome giant Talos refused to let them in. They tried to persuade him using various methods, including pleading with the arrogant goddess Hera, who supposedly protected them, and the spells of the witch Medea, daughter of the king of Colchis, from whom they had claimed the Golden Fleece. However, they were unable to land as the giant Talos, thanks to the gifts he had received from Hephaestus, lit a bonfire and jumped into it as soon as he saw a landing maneuver. He threw himself at the heroes, burning hot, without giving them the slightest chance to come ashore. Heracles was ready to confront Talos, but Jason refused to let him risk his life and almost certain death, instead seeking another way to do things. He thought of Breezy, the daughter of the wind, who, it was said, was a frequent visitor to Crete. The Argonauts prayed to the winds for Breezy's presence. As soon as she received the news from her father Zephyrus, she appeared on the deck of the Argo, accompanied by her pets and the Titan Prometheus. She affectionately embraced Heracles and greeted Jason warmly, flanked by the incomparable Atalanta and Medea, who fled with Jason after facilitating his tasks to obtain the fleece treasured by her father, King Aeetes. Medea was a faithful worshipper of Hecate, who by this time had become a highly respected goddess, as it was said that she fulfilled her promises to her devotees. Breezy also paid his respects to Theseus, Peleus, Orpheus, and the other Argonauts. Furthermore, the marvelous dropperfly, Rhadamanthus the Cretan, appeared on the ship, eager to help. Breezy heard from the heroes about their fruitless attempts to disembark and their lack of water. It was the scarab Khepri, using the syllabic system represented on its gleaming breastplate, that gave Breezy the key to defeating Talos. To defeat the mighty giant, it was necessary to visit the divine Hephaestus, who, as the craftsman who built him, must know his weak point. Breezy departed in a fleeting whirlwind to meet Hephaestus. The meeting was arranged by his uncle Noto, one of the Anemoi adventurers, and was to take place away from the prying eyes of Olympus. On the deck of the Argo, the Argonauts waited, entertained by the music of Orpheus on his lyre, accompanying the trills and stories of Rhadamanthus the dropperfly. Rhadamanthus told the story of Breezy and the intrepid wind gods who defeated the mighty Hecatonchires, those deities with 100 arms and 50 heads, who tried to storm the palace of Thrace and seize the magic dropper. He then told the story of the dwarf giants Patris and Kalamata, and their stubborn father, the giant Phelon, originally from the Peloponnese, who, with Breezy's help, became famous architects, to whom many of the Cyclopean constructions are attributed. Rhadamanthus also recounted Breezy's adventures with the androgynous Tiresias, the blind soothsayer from the city of Thebes, and also had time to tell the interested crew members about what was happening on the dominant island of Crete. Breezy returned to the deck of the Argo as dusk began to fall, while the Argonauts had forgotten the hours, entertained by the eloquent Cretan marvelous dropperfly. They could disembark before dawn, when the sky was completely dark. Jason, somewhat worried about his crew, asked Breezy what would happen when they encountered the incandescent giant Talos. Breezy reassured him, telling him to leave that to him. Transforming into a gentle but overwhelming whirlpool, she departed with his companions, leaving Rhadamanthus to delight the sailors with his sweet trill, which soon plunged them into a blessed sleep. The last to fall asleep, but not before thanking them for their company and fantastic stories, was Theseus, the son of Poseidon, although King Aegeus of Athens was his adoptive father. That night, the brave Theseus had a dream in which he fought and defeated the dreaded Minotaur. Before dawn, the Argonauts began to disembark, somewhat worried about not having seen Rhadamanthus since the night before. However, in the absence of the giant Talos, they ventured deeper into the island in search of water and supplies to continue their journey. Returning to the ship, as dawn broke, they saw Talos sleeping very close to the shore, snoring deeply. The Argonauts' first reaction was to hide, but the burly Heracles realized that they would have no better time to defeat the giant, now that his body was back to normal temperature. Jason disagreed. There was no need to test their strength, and the important thing was to reach the ship and continue as quickly as possible toward Iolcos. The brave Theseus and Peleus decided to skirt the giant while the others ran away. At that moment, Talos awoke with a terrifying shriek, but when he tried to sit up, his limbs gave out. The giant Talos, lying on a large rock on the cliffs, could barely move his arms and kept shouting insults at Breezy and the other intruders, a situation similar to when the ruthless goddess Hera was trapped on the pompous diamond throne, which resulted in the divine Hephaestus returning to live on Olympus to free her. Once on the Argo, the Argonauts surrounded Breezy and his allies. They wanted to know how they had been able to defeat the dangerous giant Talos. Breezy flew over the vigilant Talos again and again, sprinkling him with the magic powder concocted by Chloris in the palace of Thrace, the result of grinding the drop shells and the shining chrysalides of the marvelous dropper flies in their first metamorphosis, luring the giant Talos into a sweet sleep. The giant resisted for a long time, so Breezy had to sprinkle all the magic powder she had brought in a leather bag over him. After a seemingly endless time, the giant first sat down and then lay down on a large stone by the seashore and fell asleep. After that, everything was easier. The Titan Prometheus, with great effort, removed the nail from his ankle that blocked a thin vein that ran through his body and made him invulnerable. Prometheus collected a large portion of the ichor, the divine blood that irrigated the tiny vein, in a ceramic amphora. After extracting some of the mythical substance from the giant, Breezy ordered Prometheus to replace the nail, and they withdrew, leaving the extremely dangerous Talos in the arms of Morpheus. Zephyrus transported the amphora containing the precious fluid to the palace of Thrace, where Breezy kept a collection of curious objects. Reviewing his collection, Breezy discovered that the objects he collected might gather dust, but they did not deteriorate with the passage of time. The powers radiated by the magic dropper made these objects imperishable. Breezy and part of his group said goodbye to the grateful Argonauts, but not before receiving from Heracles a small vial containing a portion of the blood of the Lernaean Hydra. It might be useful in the future to help the growing humanity in some way, he told her. The heroes continued their journey, lulled by the fantastic music of Orpheus, now aided by the adventurous Anemoi, who brought strong winds to the Argo's sails for a safe return, leaving the giant Talos standing on the cliffs of the coast.